sharing the screen. I'm not able to share the screen now. Okay, it's thank you. I, uh, okay, first we will refresh last week topic for 5 minutes, and then we will go to today's topic. So last week we have seen a topic about introduction to SAS. Uh, okay, so we have seen what is SAS. SAS is a statistical analysis software. Uh, okay, and then we have seen SAS syntax. If we want to write a SAS code, the code start with either data or it starts with the proc and all the line or statement. In SAS, we will call the line as a statement. So every line in SAS should end with the semicolon. Okay. Okay, and the keywords like data, proc are not case sensitive. So you can use either D capital DATA or you can use small letter DATA. So it's not an issue. But when you are using a variable name, values, it's a case sensitive. If you are using a variable name D caps in another place also, other place also, if you are using drug, then same capital letter you should use. Okay, so variable names are case sensitive, but keywords, standard keywords, there are nearly 20 to 30 keywords are there. We will see all that in upcoming classes. So these are all not case sensitive, but variable names are case sensitive. Okay. And all the program must start with the data or proc, and all the program must end with the run statement. Okay. And then we have seen two different data types. One is numerical. In numerical, the values will be numbers. Okay, so we have seen some example: age, dose, visit date. Okay, and then we have seen another data type, character. So in character, the values will be combinations of numbers and alphabets or only alphabets. Okay, so this we will call it as when the values are like alphabets or combination of alphabets and digit, we will call it as a character data type. And in SAS, the dates will be stored as a numerical value. For example, if it is Jan 1, 1960, the date will be stored as 1. Okay, and if the date is Jan 2, 1960, then the date will be stored as 2. If it is Jan 3, 1960, the date will be stored as 3. Okay. Okay. And then okay. So SAS dates are stored as a numerical digits. Okay. And then final topic we have seen as logical operators. Uh, so in SAS we've seen logical operators. Okay. So we have seen different types of logical operators. One is and, another is or, and another is not. And operator means the both the condition should be true. We have seen one condition. So if the participant age is greater than 65 and he has taken a dose greater than 100, then the risk group is critical. Only if the both the conditions are true, the risk will be critical. Okay, otherwise the risk is not critical. So and means the both the condition must be true. Okay. Similarly, if the gender equal to female and pregnant equal to yes, then exclude equal to true. Okay. So in and the both the condition must be true, then only the value will be assigned. Okay. If the condition is not met, values will not be assigned. Or operator means either one of the condition need to be true. Either the first condition or second condition need to be true. Okay, like and it need not to be both the condition. Either one of the condition should be true, then the value will be assigned. Okay. So here, if the age is greater than 65 or dose equal greater than 100, then the monitor value will be assigned as yes. Okay. And another example, side effect, if adverse event equal to nausea or adverse event equal to headache, then the subject will be flagged. Okay. Not operator means it is opposite. Okay. For example, the drug equal to placebo. Okay, then the active treatment equal to 1. That means if the drug is not placebo, then active treatment equal to 1. Okay. Uh, so and is something, it is opposite to true or false. Okay. If age lesser than 18, if not age lesser than 18, then the participants will be eligible. Okay. So it is just like a opposite. If your condition is true, then it will make it as false. If the condition is false, then it will make it as true. Okay. So we have seen three operators, and or and not operators. Okay. And then we have seen how to use SAS on demand. I hope everyone has a register for SAS on demand in your system. Okay. So in today's, we will see data step and how to read the data. Okay. 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 So first we will see about the data step. What is data step means? Okay. So okay, I will open my SAS software and then parallelly we can. I will explain the. Okay. So as I explained in previous class, this is SAS on demand. This is the web version. For this, you need not to use the install any software. Simply you have to register in SAS website. So how to use the program is, so there in left side there will be something called server files and folder, and under that there will be one setting button kind of icon. You have to click that, and then you have to click a SAS program. Okay, it will open a tab in the right side. Okay, so there will be empty space. So in that tab there will be three so in that page there will be three tabs. One is code. So this is the tab you will write a code here. Okay. And in second tab, if you get any errors and warnings, you can see the errors and warning in this page, and output of your code will be displayed in the result tab. Okay. So this is the three tabs. Okay. And you can save your code also using this icon here, save as, or you can save the code here. Okay. So as I mentioned in SAS, all the code will either start with data or proc. Okay. Proc means procedure. Okay. If you want to perform any analysis, if you want to read the data, then we have to use a proc step. But if you want to create a data and modify the data, then you have to use a step called data. Okay. So there are two type. One is either SAS will start with the data. This is specifically for creating a data and modifying the data. Another one, proc, this is the procedure. Proc means this is specifically for analysis purpose, and if you want to read a data, that also it can be done using the procedure. So today we will see how to create a data. So your program must start with the data first. Okay. So we will see about the data step theoretically, and then we will go to the SAS code software. Okay. So the SAS data step is the foundation of SAS programming. It helps to create a data set. Data set means tables. Okay. It helps to create a tables or data, and it helps to read the data, and it helps to modify the data sets. Okay. So you in these steps you can execute row by row until all observations are processed. Okay, and it must end with the run statement. I will explain what it is. So the first line of the code is data, and then you have to give the output name. Okay, so I want my output to be stored as my first output. Okay, you can give whatever name you want. Okay, so I'm storing my output as first output. Okay, and then I am writing one code. I will explain this. Okay. Okay, so in SAS I'm creating one data one creating one code. What it start with the data, and I'm storing my code as a first output. So my output, it will be stored as first output. And there are two statements. I will explain clearly what it is. And then I'm giving the values here. Okay. And then all the SAS code should end with the run statement. Okay. So once I output is generated, you can see in both the tabs, results tab or output data. Okay. So my output data is showing ID 1, 2. Okay. The same output will be generated in library. You can go to library and you can check my library. And in under my library, there will be something called work. Okay. So under this work, my output will be saved. Okay. So again, I will tell the SAS, my code start with the data, and then generally what it means is you have to give you the library name here, okay, where you want to store your code, okay. So there is one library called work. I am saving my output as first output. So if you give second output, your code output will be stored as second output, okay. So data, your library name. If I type SAS cell, if I want to store the data in SAS user, I have to type SAS user. Okay, but generally I used to store my data in work library. So I'm giving my library name here, and whatever output name you want, you can give it here. And this is the standard code to create a data. Okay. So now I'm running this code. After you write, you have to click the run button. So once the click the run button, output will be displayed here, and then you can go to library and my library. So in my code, I have given work, right? So under work library, your code will be stored. Okay. So the first line will be data, and then what library you want to store, and then what is the output name you want to, okay, whether it is first or second, whatever name you want, you can store it there. Okay. We will see what is input and what is data lines in next slide. So all the SAS code either should start with data or proc, but we are going to create a data, so we are using data statement, and all the SAS code should run with the run statement. Okay, so as I mentioned, data step is the foundation of SAS program. It helps to create, read, and modify data sets. It execute row by row until all observations are processed. Okay, so in this code, what I did is I'm create. So Okay. Okay, I will tell one example and then I will explain this code. Okay, so in clinical trial, okay, assume that you are working in one clinical trial and that there are five patients there. Okay, and five patient has the different ID. Okay, the first subject ID is 1, second subject ID is 2, third subject ID is 4, fourth subject ID is 5. Okay, now this is five different patient IDs. Okay, I want to create in the SAS. Okay, so what you have to do is in Excel, we call it as a column. Okay. Patient ID will be a column or variable. Okay. Uh, okay. So I will ask one question. Can you tell me if you, anybody know this answer? Let me know whether the patient ID is a numerical variable or character variable. If you know the answer, let me know whether the patient ID is the numerical variable or it is a character variable data type.
Numerical.
It is the numerical. Perfect. It's a numerical, okay, because here we have only digits, right? Numbers, okay. If you have something like XA1, then it is a character data type. But here it has only numbers, right? So it is the numerical data type, okay. So I want to create this data type in the SAS, okay. We will see how to create in the SAS. So first, what you have to do is in after the data statement or data line, you have to give input statement. Okay, in input statement, you have to give the variable name. Okay, my variable name is patient ID. Okay, so my numerical variable name is patient ID. So after input, I have to give patient ID. Okay. So in SAS, when you are giving a variable name, there should not be any space. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm after patient, I'm adding one symbol. Okay. So generally, when you are giving variable name, there should not be any space between the words. Okay. So first, before giving the variable name, you have to by default you have to use the keyword called input and then patient ID. Okay. So after that, you have to give semicolon. And then after that, you have to give data lines. Okay. Data lines means you are going to tell SAS, I'm going to give the IDs. Okay. So data lines means you are going to tell SAS that after this line, I'm going to give the patient ID. Okay. So when you are giving values, you need not to give semicolon. Okay. So after one, you need not to give semicolon. Only when you are giving values for variables, you need not to give semicolon. Okay. So first you have to write input statement. In input statement, you have to give the variable name. You have to define your variable name. After that, you have to give data lines. Data lines means you are going to tell SAS after this line, I'm going to give the values like IDs. Okay. Now I'm going to store this output as patient IDs. Okay. So my output will be stored as patient IDs and there will be a numerical variable called patient ID and there will be five values will be there. Five observations will be there. Okay. There is some error. Okay. Sorry. After data lines, you need not to give. Okay. 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 So here there is a code which has five IDs and the variable name is patient ID and five IDs are there. So my code is sorry. Okay. So now my code is stored under the library called work. So if you want to go to that library, click that my libraries and under my libraries, you will find work library. Okay. So in work library, you can see your output. Okay. If you click that, that table will be opened. Okay. So in SAS, first line data and then library name. If you want to store under another library, you can use SAS data or maps or different libraries. Okay. But generally, I would prefer you save it under work library because it's a temporary library. So temporary library means once you close this tab, after this the output will be also deleted. Okay, so once you close this code and then when you open after next time, this code will not be your output will not be there. Okay, so for that you have to either store it in other libraries. Okay, so work is the temporary library, but if you save it under the SAS data and all, the code will be there, output will be there. Okay. Okay. I think I don't have authority, but I will explain in future how to read how to store the data in other libraries and all. But generally, we will first store it in work library. Okay. Okay. So we saw the SAS code start with the data. Okay, and then input statement. In input you have to define the variable. Okay, we have already seen one example. In input statement we have given only patient ID. Okay, and then okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to create three variables. Okay, for example, in that one clinical trial, there are five subjects, and we have the data about age, and we also have the data how much dose he has taken. Okay, in the MG. Okay, the first subject age is 32, second subject age is 22. This is just a dummy data. Okay, fourth subject is 44, and sorry, fourth subject is 56, and fifth subject is 29. Okay, so we have five different subjects and their age, and we also have the data how much dose they have taken. Okay, this is maybe 2 mg, this may be 1.5, this may be 1.5, this may be 2.5, this may be 2 mg. Okay, so we have the three different column. Okay, now patient ID. Okay, now I'm going to do one more thing. I have the in patient ID, I have some characters also. Okay. So I have A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Okay. So I have five subject IDs and their age and their dose. Now, can you tell me whether the patient ID is a numerical variable or a character variable? If you know the answer, put it in a chat. Whether this patient ID is a numerical or character variable now. Yeah, it's a character or string. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So in SAS, when you are going to create a numerical variable, you can simply put a numerical variable here. Okay. Patient ID. But when you are going to create a character variable like this, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Okay. SAS, if you give patient ID, okay, then I'm giving A1, A2, A3 patient IDs here, okay. If I run, it will throw a error. Okay, statement is not valid or used out of a proper variable. Why? The reason is when you are defining a variable here, SAS will consider this is a numerical variable. Okay, so we have to tell SAS patient ID is a character variable. So how to tell SAS is you have to mention a dollar symbol here. Sorry. Yeah. So you can mention a dollar symbol here. If you mention a dollar symbol here, SAS will consider patient ID is a character variable. Okay. Okay. So here, if you see, the now SAS is taking the patient ID. 1 minute. So now SAS is taking A1, A2, A3. But if you don't mention dollar symbol here, SAS will consider patient ID as a numerical variable. Okay. So whenever you are mentioning a character variable or string variable, you have to mention a dollar symbol. Okay. Now I want to create one more variable. I want to create age and dose. Okay. So what you have to do is after A1, give one space and mention the age here. Okay. After one space, mention a dose. Okay. Similarly, for second subject also, you can mention like that. Okay. So what you can do is when if you want to mention a character variable, you have to mention a dollar symbol. After that, no comma or no symbol, just leave a space and then give another variable. Okay. So in input statement, what we will do is we will define all the variable here. Okay. First is patient ID and then okay, and then if it is character variable, put a dollar symbol after the variable name, and then age, okay, and then dose. Don't put any comma or any symbol here. If you put any comma, then it will show error. After that, use data lines. After data lines means you are telling SAS, I'm going to give the values for the variable. Okay. So values, first we are giving a patient ID and then space, the value for the age, space, value for the dose. Okay, so this is the first patient ID data. Similarly, for second patient, A2, age is 29, dose is 1.5. Third patient, ID is A3, space, age 21, dose is 2. Okay. Okay. So when you are giving a three variables, I'm giving creating a data with three variable, one character variable and two numerical variable. So when you are giving a character variable, you can mention a dollar symbol after that. But when you are giving a numerical variable, you need not to give anything. Okay. So whenever you are giving a character variable, you have to give dollar symbol in the input statement. Okay. If you don't give, SAS will consider patient ID as a numerical variable. Okay. So this is how we have to create a data in using input statement and data line statement. Okay. And your code will be stored under library called work. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have seen input statement. In input statement, you have to mention the variable names, both numerical and character variable. Okay, and then data lines. So in data lines means we are going to tell SAS that I'm up in below line, I'm going to give the values for the variables. Okay, so data lines also end with the semicolon, but values will not end with the semicolon. Okay, so generally at the when you are giving values, it should not end with the semicolon. Only after you give all the values, at last you have to give the semicolon. Okay, so if you give semicolon here, SAS will throw a error. Only after you give all the values, at last after that line you have to give semicolon here. Okay, at last, and then run statement. Okay, run means we are going to tell SAS we are going to complete the code. Okay, without run, SAS will not execute the codes. Okay, okay. Okay, now I have a few questions. If you know the answer, put it in a chat. Okay, so in SAS data step, which statement is used to define variable and their types? Okay, so in which statement we will define the variables, whether it is data lines or input or run or set. Okay, Samprati B. Okay, yeah, when B, yeah, perfect. So in input statement only, we will define the Swati, yeah, B, perfect. So in input statement only, we will mention the numerical variable and character variable. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I have one line of code. Okay, so your data input, I am giving the variables here, and then data lines, I am giving two patient IDs here, 001, 002. How many variables will the data set trial contains? So if you know the answer, put it in chat. Okay, 333, perfect, correct. So we have patient ID, age, dose, three variables are there. Okay, perfect. So patient ID is a character, age is numerical, dose is the numerical variable. Okay. 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 Uh, I have the data in input statement, three variables are there and two patient IDs are there. Can you tell me what will be the value of dose mg for patient 002? When, yeah, perfect. Sampriti 0. Yeah. Swati 0. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So the for patient ID, the dose mg is 0. They didn't, that subject didn't take any dose. Okay. So it is 0 mg. Perfect. Okay. So when you are getting a time, you can create some dummy data like this and you can practice in your home. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to see different input styles. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to set a position. Okay. For example, we are going to tell SAS that so there are five subjects here, five IDs are there. Okay, five subject IDs are there, and age and dose. Okay, what we are going to tell SAS is the age, it should read first three position. Okay, So what we are going to tell SAS is read from 1 to 3rd position. Okay. So what it will do is SAS will read the patient ID from position 1. A is position 1, 1 is position 2, and another one is position 3. Okay. So what SAS will do is only from position 1 to position 3, it will read the data. Okay. And then for age, we are going to tell SAS read data only 5 to 6. Okay. 4 is a blank space. Okay. So first position A is there, second position 1 is there, third position 1 is there, fourth position is blank, nothing is there. Okay. For age 5 and 6 read. Okay. Dose read it from eighth position. Okay. So we are going to tell SAS only from this position read the data. Okay. For example, after telling SAS, I am creating one more digit here. Then what SAS will do is it will read, still it will read a ID from only position 1, 2, 3. Okay. And SAS will consider ID 822. Only because we are telling position 1, 2, 3, read it. Okay. Age also it will consider 5 to 6, dose 8 to 8. Okay. So one way to read the data is telling SAS what is the position of that character. Okay. Or numbers. Okay. Now we are telling SAS ID 1 to 3rd position read. Okay. Age 5 to 6 position. Dose 8th position. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can let me know in the chat or you can unmute and ask. Okay. So one way to tell SAS is read only from first to 3rd position, age is 5 to 6 position, dose is 8th position. Okay. 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 So now see here, the now what I'm going to do is I'm creating one more number in the digit. Okay. Now digit became 4 digit. Okay. The ID became 4 position. ID has 4 position. Okay. But in the input variable, we are telling SAS to read 1 to 3rd position. Okay. So what, see how SAS will read the data. See, SAS, what it is doing is it is still reading 1 to 3rd position. Age, it is reading 5th position. So it is reading only 3. And dose, it is reading 8th position. In 8th position, currently there is only blank space. Okay. So if you want to correct it, you have to inform SAS 1 to 4 read age, patient ID, and 6 to 7 age, dose is 9. Okay. So whichever position it is, you can tell it in the input statement. Okay. The position of the values. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the chat. Okay. So this is the first input style. Okay. Putting the position of the values.
हेलो सर।
Yeah, yeah. I
यस सर, इफ हम उधर अगर मेंशन नहीं करेंगे 1 2 3 4 2 6 एज एंड डोजेस, फिर भी वो हमें वो सेम एक्सेल शीट बना के देगा ना?
Sorry, I don't know Hindi. Can you put it, speak in English? I don't understand Hindi. Sorry. Yeah, can you repeat in English? Yeah.
So just like you mentioned here in patient ID 124, 8, 6 to
Uh,
7 and dose is 9. If we not
yeah.
mention here 124 and 6 to 7, same as it's a means like covering same Excel sheet.
This is you mean asking Excel sheet.
Not just like SAS.
So, okay, I
Output in
don't.
SAS.
Okay. You mean
Yeah,
output data. I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
get your.
This.
I, uh, okay. So generally in output also the position A position is one. Can you repeat once again? I'm not getting your question properly. Yeah.
Before output, you mentioned here age. A1 1 to 4.
Ah,
Patient
patient
ID.
ID
ID 1
one
to
to
4.
four. Yeah,
And the age is 6 to 7.
correct.
Yes. And doses is 8.
Dosage is 9. There
6 to
is one
7,
space.
one space. Yeah. Fine. If we
Ah,
not mention here 1 to 4, 6 to 7, 9, it's as a same value output.
uh, sorry. You mean 1 to 7?
So she is asking that before assigning the position, when you just wrote the variable's name like patient ID space age space dose, then
Ah,
also output was same, right?
ah.
So
Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I got your point. Yeah. So generally, this is one input style. Okay. Another is I'm not putting anything. Okay. Okay. Now, even if you read, the values will be read. Okay. Then what Python SAS will do is here we are giving space, right? SAS will consider this as a first variable, and after space, it will consider another variable. After this space, it will consider another variable. Okay. But if you give A113222, SAS will not understand anything. Okay. So one way to read the data is simply give the space. Okay. So first variable value, after that give space, and then SAS will consider this as a second variable. Okay. After space, this is third variable. Okay. Why we are giving digit is, suppose you are not giving space here. Okay. Okay. So you are not giving any space here. Now you are going to tell SAS that 1 to 4 is patient ID. So consider first 4 value as a patient ID, and fifth to sixth as age. Okay, and dose 8. Okay, so if you have values like this, then you can use this kind of the input style. Okay, then SAS will understand properly and it will assign. Okay, but if you don't want to give like this, you have to differentiate by space. Okay, each values by space. You got it, Swati. Sampriti, I don't know who asked this question. You want me to repeat again, or hello? You want me to repeat again, or you got the point?
Yes, I got the point. Please continue
Oh,
this one.
okay.
Yeah.
So if you give space, you need not to mention any position. Okay, but if you have any without space there, data is there, then you can mention the position. Okay. So if I don't mention any position and run it now, SAS will not understand anything. Okay. So we have to tell SAS that first 4 is patient ID and 5 to 6 is age, and last one is dose. Okay. So one way to mention is if you have a data like that, you can mention the position. If you don't mention a position, if you don't want to mention position, you have to differentiate by space. Okay, each value you have to give space, patient ID, age, and 100. Okay, so okay, this is one style, and this style we will call it as a list input. When you are putting a position, we will call it as a column input style. Okay, but if you have mentioned the position, we will call it as a list input. Okay, list input, it will be separate, values will be separated by space, or you can separate it by any delimiter also, but for our purpose we will give each value separated by space. Okay, the third one is date. Okay, so generally when you are I'm having a two variables now. Okay, I have patient ID and another is enrollment date. Okay, clinical trial enrollment date. So the first participant is joining clinical trial 0 Jan 2025. Okay. Second subject is joining 01 February 2025. And the third subject also joining on the same date. Fourth subject is joining 4th March. Okay. And fifth subject is joining on June 20. Okay, if I want to create this table in SAS, I have to define the date variable. Okay, in SAS, there are three different variables. One is numerical character, another is date variable. Okay, so what in input statement, I have to mention the patient ID, and then if it is character, I have to mention the dollar symbol, and then I'm going to put enrollment date. Okay. So after this, the first subject ID we have given, and then what I'm giving is 01 Jan 2025. Okay, just I'm giving some date, February 25. This is also Feb 2025. Fifth subject is joining clinical trial on 20 June 2025. Okay, so here for date, for numerical variable, you need not to mention anything. Okay, if it is character variable, you have to mention the dollar symbol. But when you are having a date variable, if you use the character variable symbol here, it will consider as a character one. Okay, SAS will display the date. Okay, but you're okay considering only few part here. Okay, SAS will not read the data properly. Okay, when you are using a date, so what we have to do is we have to use one statement for date variable. You have to use the statement called format. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to give the informant statement, what is the date variable, and then what date format you want. Okay. I will tell what is this date 9 means. Okay. So now SAS is reading data properly. Okay. So what you have to do is date 9 means here if you see there are 9 digits, right? 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So date 9 means it will have 9 characters. Okay. So if you put date 9 dot, it will give in this format. Okay. If you put date 8 point, it will give in 8 character format date. Okay. So our date is 9 character. So put 9 dot. Okay. So now what our date is 9 character length. So in format statement, put the date variable and then put the date format name. This is format name, date and what is the character length and then dot symbol. So put the same in input statement also. In input statement also you have to put the format type and in the format statement also you have to put the date 9 point. Why we are putting 9 is because there are 9 characters in the date. Okay. Now SAS will read the data properly. Okay. So this input style is called formatted input. Okay. When you have something like a date and all. So we have seen 1 minute. Hello. So we have seen 3 input. One is column input. In column input, we used to give the position of the values 1, 2, 4, 6, 2, 7, 9 to 12, like that. In list input, the values will be separated by blank spaces. Okay. And another is formatted input. When you have apart from numerical character variable, if you have something like a date, then you have to use the format statement. Format statement, after that, what is the variable name? Date variable. After that, format type. Okay. You have to use the format type in both format statement as well as input statement as well. Okay. Okay. So now we have seen 3 different types of input style. Okay. Okay. Now I have few questions. Tell me, okay, now which input method is best for reading a fixed width data where each variable occupies specific column? Okay, read this question. Okay, and tell me which input method is best for reading fixed width data. Samriti, yeah. Read this question specifically. Okay, tell me which input method is best for reading a fixed width data. Read this option carefully and let me know. Okay. A, C, okay. Sampriti told A when said A. Let's see which is correct. A may be also correct, C may be also correct, but let me. Okay. So I will explain which is the correct answer. Okay. So when you have three different variable, one is patient variable, patient ID, and then age, and then dose. Okay. And similarly, second patient ID, age, and dose. Okay. So here all the data, it is in the fixed length of 12. Okay. Not 12, it may be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So when you are having a fixed length, you can prefer the column data. Okay. So when your data is in the fixed length, you can prefer for the uh, uh, the column input. Okay. But when your data it is not in the fixed length, okay. First we have the patient ID, and then for example we have the location. Okay. And then we have something called the age, and then dose. Okay. So in this case we can use the position. Okay. 1 to 5, and then we maybe age in which position it is, and then dose. Okay. So whenever your data it is in the fixed length, patient ID, age, you can go for the column input. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Now another question. Tell me what is the hemoglobin value for patient 002 year? Okay, win 118. Okay. Yes. Yes, you're correct. When the second patient ID hemoglobin HB value is 118 year. Okay. The first subject patient ID 124, age 45, hemoglobin 135. For patient 2, the ID is 002, age is 627, hemoglobin is 118. Okay. So the second subject hemoglobin level is 118. Perfect. This one is okay. Okay. So which input method is required if you need to correctly read a data in a DDMMY format? Okay. Tell me which input method is used when you have a date. Okay. Shamrati C. Okay. Win C. Okay. 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 Perfect. C is the correct answer. Both of you are correct. Well done. Okay. So, okay. So this is one topic. Okay. We have seen how to create a data in SAS. Okay. Now, this is you have to create data line by line. Okay. So here you have to type the data manually line by line. Okay. But there is one more way. For example, I have one data. I have one clinical trial data. Okay, it's a blood pressure data. Okay, we have nearly 100 patient IDs are there, and this patient's age is there, and patient blood pressure is there. We have what is the blood pressure before giving the drug, and what is the this is the dummy data. This is not a true data, this is a dummy data. Okay. And another is after giving the drug, what is the blood pressure. Okay. And after, what is the drug dose, and what is the study group, whether he is in the placebo or whether he is in a treatment group. Okay. So two groups are there. So this data, it is in my Excel file. Okay. So now this, I want to read this data in SAS. If you want to read this in SAS and you want to perform some analysis, we will see how to read this data in a SAS. Okay. So if you want to read any external file in SAS, okay, this file is stored in my C, it may be stored in C drive or D drive or E drive. In my file, this file is stored in E drive. Okay, it is stored in the E drive of my computer. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this file. Okay, if you want to read this file, what you have to do is, if you have a SAS original version, you can straight away read the data from your C drive or E drive. Okay, if you have a SAS licensed version. Okay, but since we are having only SAS web version, what we have to do is, okay, so what you have to do is, first you have to upload this data here. Okay, so in SAS, once you click server files and folder, there will be something a space for you. Okay, ODAW something. After that, you will have something called files. Okay, under that you will have SAS users v94. Okay, so what you can do is, you can go to this and right click this file. Okay, and then there will be something called option upload files. Okay, and then what you can do is, you can click choose files. Okay, then what I'm doing is, I'm going to the location where my data is there. Okay, so my blood pressure data, it is in the E folder, and then under that, under data, it is there. I'm going to that location and then I'm uploading this file. Okay, so what I'm doing is, if you want to read this data in a SAS, click this server files folder. Under that zero ODAW, under that there will be something called files. Under that there is something location SAS user v94. Okay, so in that you can right click this file and then you can click upload file, and then you can browse that file. Okay, once you browse, you can click upload. Once you upload, the Excel file will come to SAS location. Okay, okay, now the blood pressure, it is in my file. Okay, now it is in the CSV format. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to convert the CSV format into SAS format. Now I bought this into the SAS software. Now I'm going to read this in a SAS format. Okay, so what you have to do is, when you are reading some files, external file, you have to give in file statement. Okay, in file statement means you are reading the external files. Okay, and then you have to give the path of this file. Okay, so right click this blood pressure file and then go to properties. Okay, so in that properties, you will have the path of this file. Okay, copy this path and paste it here. Okay, under double quotes, paste it here. Okay, so what I'm doing is, I'm in file. After that, the place where you stored the blood pressure file, right click this file and go to properties and then copy the location of this file. Okay, and then paste it under the double quotes or single quotes. Okay. And then put input statement. Okay. And then give the variable names. Okay. So I have patient ID, age. My patient ID is a numerical variable, and then age, and then blood pressure. Just copy pasting this. And blood pressure before, after. And finally, I have one character variable. So I'm giving a dollar symbol here and then run. Okay. Uh, Okay. Okay. So what I did is first give input in file statement. Okay. And then I'm going to output this name data from Excel file. Okay. So my output name will be data from Excel, and in file statement, the file you have read it in SAS, right? Right click this file and then click properties and then copy the path of the file and put it after the in file statement. Okay. So after you put the path of the file, you have to give DST. Okay. DST means what it will do is it will consider in Excel file each value is separated by some space or delimiter. Okay. So whenever you are reading the data from Excel, CSV file, XLS file, give this DST keyword. Okay. So it will tell SAS we are reading the data from Excel file. Okay. And then in input statement, give the column names. Okay. Okay. So I will tell one more thing. First observation equal to 2 means SAS will consider the first row as a column name. Okay. So it will start reading the data from second observation. If you give third observation, it will start reading from the third row. Okay. So you can give first observation equal to 2. That means SAS will read the data from second row onwards. Okay. If you give third row, it will start reading from the third row. First row always it will be the column name. So we have to give first observation equal to 2. That means SAS will start reading the data from second observation, and in input our column name will be there. Okay. So for reading the data in SAS, you can use the infile statement and then input statement. Okay. So, but before that, you have to go to SAS user 9.4 and then you have to upload the Excel file. Okay. And then once you upload, you can right click and then you can go to properties and then copy the path of this file and then paste the path after the in file statement. Okay. So this is for SAS web version, okay. But if you have a SAS original version, like a installed 9.4, that is 2 lakhs per month, I guess. If you have that original version, what you can do is you can simply copy this path, E folder, and paste it under the E file statement, okay. But since we have only web version, you have to bring this Excel file into SAS software and then you have to copy the path here. Okay. But if you have a original version, you can simply copy this path and paste it in the in file statement. Okay. If you have any doubt, you can let me know in a chat or you can unmute and let me know. If you understand, it is fine. Okay. Okay. So this is one way to read the data. Okay. There is another way also to read the data, but I won't suggest you to use that. But for your understanding purpose, I can. Okay. So there is something called task and you. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So in task and utility, there is something called import data. Okay. So if you import data here, you can select the file here. Okay, and then if you click blood pressure, SAS will automatically write a code for you. Okay, and then if you click run button, it will automatically read the data. Okay, so one way is you can go to task and utility and then click import data and then select a Excel file. Okay, and then SAS will automatically write the code for you. And then if you click a run button, your code will be output will be generated. Okay. But I won't suggest you to use this method. You will not understand what is the background of the code. So always I will prefer you to write the code, data in file and input statement. Okay. Okay, I have one question. Data set of patient ID and drug doses stored in a CSV file. Which SAS statement combination is most appropriate to read this file? Okay, if you know this answer, put it in a chat. Okay, C, C, C. Okay, okay, perfect. In file and input statement helps to read the data stored externally. Okay. So when you have a Excel file, if you want to read it in SAS, use in file plus input statement. Okay. Okay, I have the code. Okay, so I'm using first observation equal to 2. What this statement will do? Read this chart, read this option, and let me know. Read the 4 option carefully and let me know what is the answer. So B, okay. Yes, B is the correct answer. So it will skip the first row. Okay. So it will skip the first row. In input statement, we have already given the column name. So it will start reading the data from second observation, second row. Okay, perfect. Okay. I think that's it from my side. Already we have taken 1 hour to 20 minutes. It's quite a long time, I guess. Okay. So what I will do is I will give one assignment for this topic. One is how to create a data and how to read the external file. Okay. So you have maybe I will send it by today or tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. I will give 4 days time to complete this assignment. So, for the certificate eligibility, you have to complete all the assignments and project. So, try to complete the assignment. Shamriti, yeah, sure, sure. Generally, I don't take the recording session. There is a Shamriti in the WhatsApp group, right? She will share the recording session in the WhatsApp group. Okay. So yeah, you will get the recording session. This class and last session also. Please check it with your okay. I will give the assignment by today or tomorrow. You can submit the assignment by next Friday. So I will give 4 or 3 days time. You have to come for the certificate eligibility. You have to complete that assignment and you have to share it in my WhatsApp number. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we can close the session for now. Yes, Shampriti, tell me. Yeah.
Sir, when you were teaching that date format one, for which we have to use that line format, and in that one, in that slide, it was written that for date and for decimals. So for decimal, do we have a like different statement?
Uh, yes. Yeah. Okay. Good question. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So your okay. Okay. So here, when you are having a date, right? We are using a format and date 9, right? When you have something like a decimal, then what you have to put is format decimal here. Okay, instead of date 9.9, you have to put decimal and what is the character length, and here also the same format here. I will share one link. Okay, examples for decimal. Okay, we generally use decimals much, but I will share one examples for the decimal format also. Okay, so if it is date, you will put date and what is the length of it. If it is decimal, you will put decimal and what is the character length here. Okay. Shamriti, you got my point, or I will send one example also for your reference, for all of your reference. Hello, you understood Shamriti, or you want me to explain once again? Okay, maybe I will explain one more thing. Okay, for example, we have one value 2.3. Okay, okay, so we have a decimal value here. Okay, so in order to SAS to understand this, the character length is 3. Okay, so what you can do is after this format statement, after you mention the variable name, you can mention the format name is decimal and then 3 dot. Okay, so what it will do is it will read the SAS will understand this is the decimal format and it will read the data. But if you don't give decimal 3 point, it will not understand the data. It will simply consider this is some character variable. Okay. So if you don't mention decimal 3 point, SAS will understand this is a character variable. Okay. 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 Perfect. You understood. You want me to explain once again, Shamriti? Okay, perfect. maybe I will send on examples again, then you will understand. Okay, so I will send the assignments to you. You can take 3 to 4 days time and try to complete that. Okay. So when you start practicing only, you will not forget the code. If you don't practice, you will not remember the codes and all. Okay. So okay, so we will close the session for now. Thanks for your time. We will see next week. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.